How's it going, y'all? Welcome to part 2 of the Cucv. So in the last video, we determined that we had a bad engine. So if you haven't watched that video, then go watch that video, then come back to this one. We determined we had a bad engine, and so we got to do something with it. So we're going to be pulling out this 6.2 Detroit, and I'm not sure what we're going to put back in it just yet. We may just go back with another 6.2, or I don't know, we might do something else. But stay tuned, this is going to be a fun one. Alright, so we got pretty much everything taken apart. We're starting to pull the engine. Something just fell.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. But she's about to come out of here, so I'm going to set the camera back up. Alright, y'all. There it is. Motor's out. It wasn't terrible. It took us about 4 hours. So now we got to decide what we're going to put back in it. What's your vote?
I say 454.
Probably 60. I don't have a vote yet because it's all about the budget. But anyway,
632.
632 big lock. Yeah. Maybe we'll do some horsepower in this thing. I don't know. We're going to end it off for tonight. All right, so we got the Cucv pulled out into the sun, and while we got the engine out, we might as well take a pressure washer and get this thing cleaned up. So we're going to do that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do a bunch of painting underneath the hood, because if I only do part of it, it's not going to look great. So we're just going to go ahead and clean it up, see what it looks like, and then we'll be ready to drop this new engine in there. I've got it, and I'm about to move it over into this barn, and see if we can't get this thing to finally run. All right, y'all, so here's the 6.2 Detroit that we're going to be putting into the yellow truck. I don't even know if this thing runs, so we're going to figure that out once we get to that point. So we're probably going to get it all the way in there and it doesn't run. But I did turn it over by hand. We're good there. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to pressure wash this, get this cleaned up before we're ready to drop it in there. We got it all pressure washed off, and now we need to remove this power steering pump because we left it hooked up in the truck. So we're going to remove that and check everything else and make sure it's ready to go, and then we'll be ready to drop this thing in there. So we're going to go ahead and replace this mechanical fuel pump with one of these Edelbrock ones. We're going to be putting this back there under the cross member right behind the cab. Hopefully this is going to help with starting, just making it easier for it to start. So we have this block off plate for the fuel pump. So we're going to have to pull off the fuel pump and then put the block off plate on there, and then I think we got to run this line to a return or maybe back down. I don't know exactly yet, so I'll have to do some research on that. But we're going to go ahead and get this fuel pump pulled off and get this plate installed. So I was looking around, and it looks like we have some dirt daubers or mud daubers or whatever you want to call them that have built a few mud nests in here. So we got to pull the intake off before we do anything. So I'm not excited about it, but it's something we need to do. It's for sure going to mess it up. I mean, there's a big one right there. I can see it. So it's not like I can just vacuum it out. So we're going to pull it apart and clean it out and then put it back on, and hopefully we're good. Well, I got updates. We ran into a few problems. So I told y'all that I was going to clean out the intake manifold because of the dirt daubers that had gotten in there. Well, I ended up pulling the whole intake manifold off, and they were down there in the ports. The dirt daubers had got down to the ports, and so yeah, I think the motor's bad. So pretty much I got another motor that I know runs, so but it's got to be put back together. We got to put the water pump back on, So it's taken apart. So we got to put that back together. So that's what I'm going to work on now. But it's been kind of a mess. I got 3 engines out right now. So yeah, we got a lot of work to do still. I thought it was going to be a quicker swap, but I guess not. Alright, so we got the engine that we're going to be trying to put back together, and I don't know if it's going to run, but we're going to try it. We're not going to hook everything up. We're going to throw it in the truck and just try and get it running before we hook up the radiator and all that. Going to at least try to hear it bark off, so we're going to go ahead and set this thing in there. Alright, so we got the engine in, and it's mounted up. So now, we didn't hook everything up. We didn't hook everything up yet because I want to make sure it's going to at least pop off. So we're going to run some starting fluid, even though you're not supposed to, just to see if we can hear it bark off. And then we'll finish putting it back together.
Go ahead.
That sounds way better.
It'll run.
It runs. I heard it. Alright. I think it'll run. So, got a few more hours of putting stuff back together now. So I'm going to get after it. We got an electric fuel pump hooked up now. So, we're going to go ahead and try and get it to run for a second.
Go ahead.
Like that.
It's all right. Okay. Oh, stop. Something's making noise.
Alright, so I got updates. We've got a leak on this 6.2 that we just put in here. So it's leaking at the injection pump where I guess the throttle assembly is. So in order to fix that, you've got to take the whole top of the engine apart. And a lot of people say that's a possible sign of an injection pump starting to fail. And or you might as well replace it while you're in there, right? Because you're going to have it taken apart. I was trying to give the 6.2 a shot, okay? But it's not really what I wanted. If it was going to be slap it in there, it was going to run great, fine. That's what I was going to go with. But now that it's not that easy, I'm thinking about doing a swap. Now, some of you purists out there are going to be mad. But I'm going to probably do the swap that everybody does because it's easy. And it gets rid of that pesky 6.2. So here we have small block Chevy 350. They came out of a C30. And this is probably what we're going to end up putting in there. So some people are going to be mad, like I said, but to be honest with you, I don't care. This is my truck. I get to do with it what I want. So I'm not even sure any of the internals of this thing. All I know is that it did run. I just turned it over by hand. It felt fine, felt good. So what we're gonna do is check compression. So I'm gonna throw the starter back on, and we're gonna put the compression tester on there, turn this thing over, and see what we're doing compression wise. If we have good compression, then probably what I'm gonna end up doing is I kind of want to go ahead and pull this intake and, you know, upgrade the intake. I have a Howdy or Edelbrock carb on there. I think it's a 600 CFM or something. Throw all that together, hop this motor up a little bit before I put it in there. So I may not be putting this engine in for a little while until I get all those parts ordered, because it's way cheaper to order them than to buy them in store. And since I don't really need them right away, it's not that big of a deal. So good news is about this, wiring harness is already in here. It needs some repairs, but I'm not worried about that. I can fix all this. I'm good at this. But here's the plug right here. So it'll just plug into the truck. We have to get a flex plate because that's a flywheel. It had a manual transmission. We'll do a new cap and rotor and all that. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do is throw the starter on there and see if we can't get this thing to crank over so we can do a compression test. So the first one we've got about 145, we'll say. So that one's about probably let's say 117. This one's about the same, so we'll say 115 to number 7. That one's 60 PSI. Yeah, so we got low compression in that cylinder for sure. That's not good. So let's move around to the other side here. Oof, that one's a little below 60. We're gonna say that's 55 pounds. Oof, that one's bad. So that one makes 150. That one makes 145. Same 145. Alright, so on cylinder number 1 we have 155 PSI. Number 3 we've got 130. Number 5 we've got 125. Number 7 is 80. So then we go up to this side up here, number 2, we've got 60. Which is not good. That's the worst one. Number 4, 150. Number 6, 145. And number 8, 145. So, we've got 2 cylinders that are down. So, I'm going to do a little bit of research and we'll see. But, I mean, I don't think that's the end of the world. We're probably still going to run it. Alright, so those 2 cylinders are definitely low on compression. But, to be honest with you, I'm not too worried about it for this. Eventually, if I need to, I'll pull it back out and rebuild it. So, I think we're going to go ahead and go on ahead and put this thing in there. So, I'm making a parts list right now so I can run to the store, grab parts. We're going to go ahead and remove this this pump right here. Y'all know what that is. We're going to get rid of that pump. We're going to get rid of all this other government stuff. And then... yeah, then we're hopefully going to have a decent motor. I don't think it's going to run great because of the low compression in those 2 cylinders. But, be better than that 6.2 that's in there, that's for sure. So, let's get after starting pulling all this stuff off. Alright, y'all, so I'm about to pull this 6.2 out. This is going to be the second 6.2 I've pulled out of this truck. So hopefully it's a little bit quicker this time. And then hopefully we'll get this 350 dropped in here. Alright, so we're going to remove this quadrijet. And I have an Edelbrock carburetor that we're going to put on. I got an adapter, put it on this intake manifold. I didn't want to buy a new intake manifold because... didn't really think it was necessary for this motor. Like I said, it really needs to be rebuilt. So we're going to kind of try and do it on the budget. And to be honest with you, I mean, we could stick with this one. I don't know yet. We could stick with the quadrijet. So anyway, we're going to pull this off. So since we're going from diesel to gas, we are going to swap out the wiring harness. So I'm going to get this diesel harness out. I've got a gas harness, and we're going to hopefully get everything ready. And then I got some parts on the way, so once those parts get here, then we'll be able to finish putting the motor back together. Then we'll slap it in here, and then hopefully we'll have a running and driving CUCV. Alright, so quick little update. What I've done is I've got the truck ready. So I put in a gasoline harness, a gasoline wiring harness, and I'm getting the 350 ready to go. I spray painted it. Got a brand new flex plate on there, brand new alternator. Gonna reuse the water pump and stuff for now. I'll change that out later if I need to. I'm gonna do oil change. I got a brand new distributor from Summit. Brand new distributor. I got brand new spark plug wires, and these are red. This is an adapter for the coolant hose that I needed. Here's the distributor clamp. So I got a few other things here and there. All right, so we got pretty much everything we're gonna put together. We got everything on the motor that's difficult to do while the engine's in the truck. So we're about to set this thing in there. So we got the engine set in there. So we got the motor mounts on, and I've got 4 of the transmission mounts on, the mounting bolts on. So pretty much what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna try and power through as much of this as I can tonight, and then hopefully we'll be able to get in here this weekend, get this thing running and driving. So pretty much what we're gonna do is we're gonna grind out here for a few hours tonight, and then we'll come back and hopefully we'll hear this thing fire up. Okay, so the engine is in, and I've got most everything hooked up. There's a few things like power steering pump, and then radiator and stuff, but we're gonna go ahead and see if we can't get it to run real quick, and then we'll put all this back in and see what happens. So we had to do a few things related to wiring, and we finally got it to where it'll crank now, so let's see if it'll start.
Backfire.
Good?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Big fire.
Idling, baby! Sounds good. It's running. Sounds really. She's idling. Lot of smoke.
All right, let's go.
Set.
That's a head gasket.
Oh, yeah, let me recap on what happened with the CUCV. So, pretty much what happened was I got this 350 put in the truck, and it had a very bad blown head gasket. So, I couldn't find water in the oil, or coolant in the oil, but it had super excessive coolant pressure. I mean, it was just shooting out. It really didn't matter. It was shooting out really bad, and then it would run really good for 30 seconds or so, and then it would completely like run super rough. So it's gotta be the water was getting into the cylinders or something. So what I did was I went ahead and pulled it back out of the truck because I don't have a lot of experience taking motors apart. So to do the head gaskets, I've never done that before. So I figured might as well take it out of the truck and make it a little bit easier, and hopefully it'll make it easier so I can learn a little bit easier. So I got it on the engine stand here. I got head gaskets for it. I went ahead and got a new water pump for it. I actually got a whole gasket kit, so it has the intake manifold gasket, all that. So I don't know if I'm going to go as far as doing the oil pan gasket and all that, but pretty much top end stuff I'm going to do new gaskets on. Now, there is a chance that I pull these heads off and the cylinders are trashed. There's a chance that then I might call it and be like, okay, this engine needs to be rebuilt or whatever. That is a possibility. Hopefully we don't get down to that, but if we do, oh well. I've got more than I wanted to have invested into this motor already, just trying to get it to run. And it did run, and the truck drove. I didn't have power steering pump hooked up. I got to get a new one of those, but it was running. So that's what matters, but it had obvious blown head gasket. I mean, I don't know what else it could have been. It was super bad. So, pretty much, I'm just going to start tearing this thing down, do a little bit at a time. I'm going to go ahead and get these exhaust manifolds taken off. That way, I can plug the holes. I'm going to get this alternator taken off, the fan, stuff like that. Just start getting the, regular stuff taken off, and then whenever I have a chance to go ahead and dig into getting the heads off, the intake manifold and all that. I want all that to be kind of at once, so I don't have a bunch of debris and stuff getting in here, because the dirt daubers are terrible this time of year. They're flying around. You can see they've already started to like carry their dirt just from carrying it around the shop here. They've carried some onto the engine. So we're going to get this thing, take it apart here. I'm going to go ahead and start pulling the necessities that we have to pull off, and then one of these evenings here we'll pull the heads. Got the valve covers pulled, and it's looking pretty clean. I mean, and it had to have been, I mean, these have been taken off before. I don't think this is OEM gaskets there, but same thing over here. It looks super clean once again. So I'm pretty sure it's a low mile motor. I really do think that it is, because the truck that it came out of, the odometer was showing 30, like 32,000 miles or something. So, I mean, now it may have been rebuilt before, but looking at that, that looks pretty dang good. All right, just got side number 1 pulled off, and yep, definitely a blown head gasket. So that's water sitting in the cylinders, but this motor looks really good. So I don't know, but the head gaskets are definitely bad. So we're gonna tear the other side down. So I got the block cleaned up and prepped for the head gaskets. I got them looking pretty good and pretty smooth. So before we actually put the head gaskets on, I'll do one more wipe with some cleaner, and then with some carb cleans, all I got. But should work just like brake clean, I'm sure. So gonna do a final wipe with that. Same thing with the heads. Got the heads cleaned up. So we're gonna wipe those down too. We're gonna set the head gaskets on, and then we're gonna get some heads bolted on here. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll have this thing running here in a few days. So while I was in there, you know, doing the head gaskets and all the other stuff, I figured might as well do oil pump. So we're gonna put a new oil pump on this thing, and then we're gonna put the oil pan back on, and then we're gonna flip it back over and work on the intake. So the heads are installed, the push rods are back in and set, so we're gonna go ahead and get this oil pump installed. Alright, let's get this new intake manifold thrown on. I went with the Edelbrock Performer EPS. So this is, I think, the cheapest one Edelbrock makes for this Chevy 350. I think they have a few other styles, but this is the cheapest one. It looks really good. Hopefully it'll help us get some more power, so that's what we're going to be using. Alright, so as y'all can see, we are getting closer and closer to getting this thing ready to be put in the CUCV. So what I gotta do next, I think, is, the dogs are going crazy. I'm gonna get the power steering pump pulley put on. I think I'm gonna go ahead and mount the power steering pump, the new power steering pump. We're gonna go ahead and get all the belts on, and then we're gonna use where the carburetor goes on the intake manifold for the jack plate to pick it up. So we're gonna leave the carburetor off, but I pretty much have everything ready to go. I got oil filter in there, new oil filter, fresh oil. Like I said, we're getting closer and closer, so we'll have the alternator and all that put on here soon. Gotta tighten up these bolts, but I got everything that we're not going to use on the intake manifold plugged off, so we are getting closer and closer to being able to get this thing running. So y'all stay tuned, we're getting close. Alright, so we got the truck pulled into the shop here, and we are going to put the engine in there finally. Hopefully everything's good there. We won't know until we put it in and run it, but we're going to go ahead and swap out the motor mounts. I fought with them last time, and these are like 12 bucks. Probably totally worth that money too. So I'm going to go ahead and get those motor mounts swapped out, and also get ready to pull this power steering pump. Since I went ahead and got a new power steering pump, we're going to get all the lines off that, and then hopefully we'll be able to set this thing in there. Alright, so we got the motor dropped into the truck. So now pretty much I'm just going around and getting everything hooked back up. There's not that much left, but we're going to keep after it, and then hopefully we'll be able to hear this thing run this evening. Alright y'all, so I got everything put together and in, so we're going to see if we can't get this thing started. Alright, here we go. Okay. It's running. Let's go. Take it for a ride. Alright y'all, so we got the CUCV running, and it's running pretty good. I got the fan shroud on and buttoned up a few other things that wasn't recorded. I'm waiting on a little spacer for the air cleaner. So once I get that, then I'll be able to put the spacer on. The throttle linkage is rubbing. But what we're gonna do is, over here we got a parts truck, and this parts truck has a set of 285 75 16s, and they're much bigger tires. The tires that are on the yellow CUCV are super dry rotted. They're probably about the same age as these, but these don't have any dry rot to them, and they're a little bit bigger, so they're gonna look better. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and swap them out. There we go. We have all 3 gears. Alright y'all, so we just successfully drove the CUCV probably about a mile, and to be honest with you, other than the steering wheel being crooked, it needs an alignment, it ran great. Stops good, shifts well. So far so good. I'm happy with how it turned out so far. I'm sure there will be more videos to come on this truck, so y'all stay tuned. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all on the next one.